Hi, welcome to Digital Health Open Doors. This is Dr. Jolie Serrano Pons, and I'm going to interview today Dr. Juan Manuel Rios. Thank you, Juan Manuel Rios, for coming here.
Thank you, Jordi. It's always a pleasure to be around you and, of course, inside the Digital Open Doors, which is a great opportunity to share a lot of knowledge in digital health.
Thank you, Juanma. Juanma is an orthopedist himself. He's an entrepreneur also, and he has set up a company called Aware. So we're going to ask him some different questions about his trajectory and the aim of his company and so on. So Juanma, what are the problems Aware is addressing right now?
Well, Jordi, we're basically trying to address a problem that interests the 50 million doctors that are around the world. And they can be maybe summed up in 3 points, 3 critical points. The first one being the fact that doctors do not have the time that conventional education requires anymore. There is a very fast pace of life, which prevents doctors from engaging in your usual going to a classroom, attending a lecture, and then establishing time to away from their practice to learn certain skills. So this is not the scenery anymore. Also, the fact that doctors now have to produce a personal, professional digital brand, that is a necessity that 20 years ago wasn't around. Now doctors need to be known in social media, they need to be known in LinkedIn. Now, when a patient is looking for a doctor, the first thing they do is Google him. So doctors now need to develop a personal professional brand, and that is important, and that is something that for most of them is unknown territory. And for the last one would be the fact that many doctors are doing great efforts in teaching their colleagues. They're investing time and sometimes even money in helping young doctors develop the skills they need. And the problem is that they are not receiving a fair reward for doing this. They always assume this is something they ought to do, this is something that is their obligation, but they do not receive any kind of reward. And this wouldn't be a problem if there wasn't any profit from the education business. But the problem is that there is a lot of profit, but it's getting to the intermediaries. The people producing the value, which are doctors, helping other doctors, are not getting any of this profit, and that is not fair. And doctors now are realizing this, and this is something that troubles them.
Amazing. So you mentioned 3 problems, no?
Yes.
Basically. So how do you plan to solve this?
Well, we do not have a magic solution for this, and what we are trying to do are establish certain activities that help doctors surpass these limitations. And the first one, the time-related limitation, the fact that they do not have the amount of time that usually conventional education requires, it's through e-learning. E-learning, one of the capabilities that has is the facility of studying at your own pace, in your own time. If a doctor has maybe half an hour free while he's waiting for someone or while he's waiting for a surgery to start, in that half an hour, he can make a profit of that time studying through his iPad or through his iPhone or through his computer on the hospital, and he can use that half an hour in learning new skills. So time-wise, e-learning allows doctors to organize their own learning process, which is a very powerful tool. The other thing regarding their digital brand, one of the things e-learning permits doctors is democratizing that access to a public image in the digital era. So through platforms like ours, doctors can gain a lot of reputation, a lot of communicative skills that will allow them to be recognized both by patients and by colleagues in their digital brand. So platforms like ours give them a channel to be known both by patients and by colleagues. And last but not least is the fact of obtaining revenue. One of the things we are rooting very loudly in Aware for is the fact that doctors need to receive revenue or at least fair reward for their efforts in teaching colleagues. So what we do, we have a platform that allows doctors to create online content to be seen by colleagues. And depending of the amount of traffic that content has generated, they will receive an economic reward. Will they become millionaires by doing this? Of course not. This is not the intention of any doctor. The source of revenue is their practice. But if there is someone making profit out of their educational efforts, they want to be a part of it. And with our solutions, we allow that to happen.
I suppose there are other similar platforms, no? Why do you think you are the right people to do that? No?
Well, at least we're trying, which is a big part of being the right person, right? But of course, we have a great team, a team that has more than 5 years in the medical e-learning business, that is used to executing and producing revenue, which is not always the most popular case. You see a lot of people with good ideas, but not being capable of executing them. This team was first accustomed to executing. And also the fact that our approach is different. Our approach, I think, is kind of unique in the fact of allowing doctors to receive revenue, part of the revenue that is being produced in the business. So I think that puts Aware in a very good position.
But we can wonder ourselves, no? How different is that of publishing something online? No? As you can say, okay, I can publish it in WordPress or another. How different is your platform?
Yes, that is very interesting. We have what we call Awareization. It's a word we have invented, of course. It's the fact of we see ourselves as a guided crowdsourcing, which means we are not a YouTube, or we are not just a platform where you go and put what the first thing goes through your mind. What we do is we receive your input, but we kind of give you advice and help you make that content interactive, engaging. We try to organize it in a way that in the previous years we have learned is what users want. So we do a little curation process, and also what we allow is for people to, our intention is not people stopping from publishing papers and going to articles. We think that's something that should continue, but we think that we have to explore these new ways of sharing knowledge. If I told you that e-learning is here to end all traditional courses, people is gonna stop going to face-to-face courses, or people are gonna stop publishing in journals, that wouldn't be the case. We think this is just another option, and it's an option that needs to be developed, but it's not going to replace any of those options.
So you mentioned before during your conversation, no, that do you think doctors want to make money from education?
This is something that has really surprised us, because when you are in the entrepreneurship business, you are very used to hearing profit. We want to make millions, and we want to. But in the medical area, this is not words that you are used to hearing, because in the medical profession, what we're used to hearing is vocation, the wanting to give service to the patients, which is, I think, the main reason you get into the medical practice. But what we think is we need to show doctors that, okay, there is this amount of money that is being produced, and the right thing, the fair thing to do is for you, if you are giving value, to receive a reward, not to become a millionaire doing this, as we talked previously. But the fact of, if there is money being made and you are the one giving the value, the fair thing is that you receive part of it. I think that's the only thing doctors are asking. If you tell a doctor, hey, I'm gonna do this course, please, can you collaborate? We're not going to make money out of this. This is for people in Africa that needs this education. Of course, doctors are going to do it for free. That wouldn't be the first time doctors are doing things for free. But if you tell them, okay, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to make millions, and I'm not going to give you anything, that doesn't feel right. So that is what we're rooting for, the fairness of it, not the fact of becoming a millionaire or just doing things for money. That's not the right thing. way to approach it.
Well, I know you for a while already, and apart from Aware, I know you have brilliant ideas. How do you see yourself, your team, in 5 years' time?
Well, of course, in my entrepreneurship experience, I have been 5 years seriously involved in e-health and in entrepreneurship, and e-learning is a big part of that, as Aware can show. But also, I'm very keen on developing new solutions, digital solutions that change the way doctors are used to doing things. So I see myself in 5 years with my team developing solutions that may sound crazy right now, but that will be the norm 10 years from now. So I see myself on the verge of developing solutions that will make patients' life better, but also doctors' life better, because that's something very interesting. If you remember some of the lectures that were on the pitch we heard today in Open Doors, something caught my attention. That was a number. With a solution of telemedicine, they were telling, before a nurse could take charge of 25 patients, but with our solution, this nurse now can take care of 250 patients. And I asked myself, there is an equilibrium we, as the future technologies of e-health, have to develop. Is the fact that nurse can see 250 means that she should? Because maybe not. Maybe we have to know how to establish limits and see where the relationship start to suffer, right? So we don't want to develop technology to take a doctor from seeing 50 patients to seeing 1,000 patients. Maybe that's not the correct answer. Maybe the correct answer is, okay, he could see 50 before. Now we can make him see 100, but with quality. That's an equilibrium that we need to develop. And I see myself, of course, with neighbors like you, on the verge of that e-health developing process.
Balance is the secret of everything.
Yes, and it's the hardest.
And we hope we all can thrive in this 5 years scenario
we will.
e-health ecosystem, because we are fighting for it very hardly. It's a pleasure.
Pleasure is all mine, neighbor. Thank you very much.